Hey, how's it go? Today's topic is gonna be fun.
It's a fun one.
Uh, so what have we learned about
It's just a
what have we learned about dating and relationships over the last 10 years?
oh my goodness. Which Pandora's box we should open here? My God. Ay, ay, ay. What have we learned? You know what? For me, I'll tell you. For me, what I've learned is remember what's important to you. I think that's like what's important to you in a man. So I've been in a relationship with people who sounded great on paper, but they didn't speak to me, to like Elena. A lot of it was because I was worried about how people will perceive me based on who I choose and so on. So I choose people like that look good like on paper. And it was like the most disastrous things. And when I finally was just confident in what I want, what makes me happy, who makes me happy, and all that jazz, that's when I think a lot of things changed. And that's my biggest one is stick to what makes you happy and not give a damn about what anybody else thinks.
Yeah, I think you go through the growing pains, right? At first, I think you just like it's a physical thing. You just like, my
Yeah.
God, he just fits every sweet spot. And the thing is, I mean, if I were to look back at my dating history, I'm just be like, God, I could see every point of the mental disease and mental.
Man,
No,
you and I both.
but yeah, but the thing is, when I also look back at it, man, I had some really good looking boyfriends.
Yeah.
Boy, like when I was in it, I didn't think like, I didn't I again, drawing back to the self-esteem thing. When I was in it, I always thought that like, they're too good for me. And it's so sad, when you think about that in that sense that you're like, I
Yeah.
wasn't good enough for them and they were too good for me. And I feel like I sabotaged a lot of relationships back in the day. And maybe that was the reason I made, certain choices in, later stages in my life. And then when I got married and afterwards when I got divorced. But I think I wish I had just loved myself a little bit more. But because I feel like if I loved myself more, I would have made smarter choices in the way I chose to give my love. I think I have always been this person who's had so much love to give. And if I were to be completely honest with you, I think sitting here at 44, I have yet, even though I've been married and divorced, and even though I've had partners prior to getting married, like I don't think I've yet I can safely say that I have been with someone who's been able to reciprocate the depth of love and the depth of companionship and the depth of partnership that I deserved, And it's only
Yeah.
come with time and realization. Maybe before those things
Yeah.
didn't matter. Maybe it was just at some point, just I want to have somebody. And I think a lot of women, I don't want to generalize, but I think that sometimes we just want to be with somebody so bad that we'll just settle, right? And I do think I
Yeah.
settled a lot and maybe I made unhealthy choices, but now when I look back at it, I want to be with someone who's worthy of me. And I think that's really important. And to get to this point, it was really understanding that before I allow somebody else to love me, I have to love myself first. It's so important. I shouldn't
Yeah.
be waiting for somebody to pour in my cup and overflow my cup with love. I have to love myself so much that I radiate that. And then I hope, God willing, that when that person presents themselves, that they can see all of that and they'll be attracted to that. And then there'll be this alignment. Because I think alignment in relationships is so important. It's just such an
Yeah.
important thing that you need to have.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, I'm with you, and I think a lot of women have, I'm always there was always this envy in me, and I guess in a good way of like women who just knew exactly what they deserved. I remember in my 20s, like, I would see some of my, people in my circles like have just really great men and great relationships, and I'm like, like, and I used to be always like, I used to be very insecure about many things, and I used to be like, well, and I developed this like mindset as like maybe I'm not deserving,
Mm.
and it goes back to the self-esteem thing. And so for many years, I felt like similar to you, like I was accepting a lot of things that like deep down, I knew I deserved better, but I didn't reach that point where I was so confident into who I am and what I bring to the table to be able to attract that. And I think my biggest lesson was, and this is why I think like, because I used to be really toxic as a girlfriend in my 20s. And I swear I'm the first one to admit I was so toxic, like, full accountability. personality into the person that I was because of my insecurities. And I was like, listen, I looked great. Like I should have had no insecurities. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just wild how life works out. But and so like I was really through that I was very toxic. I was very negative in many ways. I was I didn't trust men. I had trust issues completely. A lot of it ties back to self-esteem. And I think at that point, like after years of just self-awareness and healing or whatever the hell you want to call it, just self-awareness and keeping it real with myself, I realized that one, I take full accountability for the decisions that I made. And also, I chose the men that I was with, right? Like, I made that decision. And I think the minute that I recognize, like, no, I get to choose, right? Which sounds like weird, but like, once you recognize you choose, and once you start making better choices, but those better choices you can only make if you know what you deserve. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah,
like,
your
it
worth.
comes
You
down
know
to
what
like
you're worth.
yeah, like your worth, right? So you start making better choices based on your worth, right? Because I did settle in some instances, right? And so it's like, and you start anyway, so you start making better choices. And I think that's like my biggest thing is like, one, I took accountability, and then I started making different choices because I spend a lot of time working on my self-esteem and so on. And yeah.
I think what it is that, I mean, at least for me, when I think about it, when you don't have enough love in yourself, you go seeking love in all of the wrong places. And then
Yeah.
that grandeur of love that you have in what you think that person's giving you is just, it probably was not love. It was just they're giving you half-assed attention. And because they were giving you that half-assed attention, you settled for it. And especially if you're somebody like
Yep.
I told you, I was a tomboy, and I was always around these really, really pretty girls I grew up with. I thought I was the ugly duckling because I was just so tall and so boyish, and I just wasn't into the things that usually in your early mid teens, girls are very girly. I just was the karate kid. I just wanted to fight people, either in the dojo or that was me, So when I did get noticed being myself, it was just like, oh my God, like you think I'm pretty? Really? Me? The Karate Kid? But then
Yeah.
when I think about it now, that is completely just why? Why wouldn't you like I was funny, I was cute. Like there's a picture of me that I have here. It was the first time we landed in Vancouver because you had to do a landing before the next step of like the immigration. And I had this like beautiful long hair and I was super skinny because it was this point in time where I was obsessed with the way I looked and I wasn't anorexic, but I was borderline. I was just not eating and constantly working out at the dojo and I just wanted to be super skinny. And I was looking at myself in that every time actually I look at myself in that photo, I was like, I wish I could go back and give this girl a hug. I wish I could go hug her. I
Yeah.
wish I could go tell her, you are so pretty. You are enough. You're a good person.
Yep.
You deserve somebody to love you for who you are. You shouldn't try and change yourself to fit into this mold of what you think will make you attractive to other people. And man, it took such a long time because I was maybe 15, 16 in that photo. But when I look back at it now, all I want to do is hug that girl and tell her, Bahari, you were enough. You were enough.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest lesson for me, sitting here right now, realizing that I am enough. I might not be perfect. I might not have the perfect body or whatever the ideal standard of the perfect body is. I might not have the perfect personality, although I do think that I appreciate that I'm an authentic person and that I go into anything when it comes to whether it's a friendship or a relationship with the intention of just being a good partner or a good friend. And I think that should be enough. But I think that sometimes it comes from your upbringing, it comes from your societal conditioning, it comes to maybe you might have been bullied or you just, whatever your life circumstances were back when you were a kid, that you just lose that about yourself. And then it took a long
Mm.
time. It took a long time to get here. But I think I would have saved myself a lot of heartache. And I think I would have saved myself a lot of unhealthy relationships if I had just realized that I'm enough.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a great message because I feel I ditto, like exactly the same way. I want to go back and hug that little like the little me, who was so cute and all of that. And And I really feel for the young women today, and I know our audience is probably slightly older, but I think if this hits anybody like, who's younger generation, like if they take away anything from this, is just like love yourself as you are, man. Like you are, we always think that like this next version of us is going to be better. And honestly, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just part of life. Like maybe it's just part of it. I think we all feel insecure at some level. I think everybody has different levels of insecurity that then leads to different choices and decisions in their lives. But I think collectively we all just need to be a little bit more, like loving to ourselves, and not to go woo woo. I'm not like that at all.
Mhm.
But if there really is something about like just loving, accepting yourself as you are. And I think I'm so glad we didn't grow up. I mean, if I wouldn't have grown up with social media, oh my God. Like I would have been the most insecure
Yeah.
person you will ever meet. Like, no way. No way. I don't know how these young women deal with it. I don't blame them for having mental health issues. Like, legit. Like, this is a wild west we're living in with social media. So, and not to get into social media side, but like, dang, like, really, like, like, I really hope people understand that that's not real life. Not everybody looks like that. Not everybody has these perfect relationships. No relationship is perfect. You know what I mean? Like, I really hope, like, especially men and women. I think men also struggle these days, but I wish like women would understand, like, that's not real life. Not all men want what's on social media and so on. And like, yeah, it's listen, it's tough out there right now. I'll tell you that.
I mean, dating is not
Yeah.
easy. I can tell you, dating as
No,
a single
no.
mom is is challenging. But I don't think dating has ever been easy. But it's definitely gotten harder, especially post COVID, especially post the era of dating apps. I think men and women, our social interactions have changed. You're definitely not meeting people more organically. And I think also before there was the way in which we socially interacted with each other. Like if you were to meet somebody, you either met them at school, you met them through the family, maybe there was like a sports club that you went to and you ran into someone. So you met people in like I would say what like a traditional setting, and not in the traditional
Yeah,
sense of the word, but like it was just more organic. You met them in everyday life. Now things are different
yeah,
because everything is so fast paced. Life is has definitely changed, and women's perspectives have changed, men's perspectives have changed, and those changes have happened as a result of this like little tango between one another. But also everything has gone online. So people are
yeah.
spending less time wanting to invest in actually going deep and keeping everything at the surface level. And I think, I don't know, and I'm guilty of it myself because I know the set of questions. Like I have a love-hate relationship with these dating apps, and now I've just forever off of them because I just feel like for me it doesn't work because I just see the caliber. I'm not saying I'm a uber high caliber of woman. No, but I just feel like I want to meet somebody the organic way. I want to meet somebody through
But first of all, you are, my friend, you are. Let's not, you are
I'm
the,
not taking no, I'm not shitting on
but I
myself.
get what you're saying. I get what you're
Yeah, but
saying.
I just look,
Yeah.
if anything, I like to keep it real with myself, okay? I am 44 years old. I think I look, knock on wood, I think I look great for my age, but I have gray hair, all of these wisdom. I have wrinkles. I wear these fantastic glasses that are bifocals, okay? And I never thought I'd need bifocals, but I do. And I'm not going to be competing with younger women. There's a woman turning 18 every single day, and her boobs look better than mine. Her ass is better than mine. And, she's just different. And, men are wired to be attracted to women who, at the end of the day, it's a very primal thing. He's going to want to spread his
Mhm.
seed because he wants to impregnate. And, younger women are more fertile. Men get attracted to that. So I offer something different. At this age, I offer wisdom. I offer experience. I offer knowing and recognizing a freaking heart attack, and I know how to call an ambulance. I can give you CPR.
The important
But
things. The
it's
important things,
it's it's
yes.
different, so the dating
Yeah, yeah.
marketplace has definitely changed. Men and women's expectations of each other has definitely changed. Women are definitely more empowered. Before, let's be real, women used to get married because, it was the man financially providing for her, taking care of her. She stayed at home, she took care of the home, she took care of the family, the kids, and that in itself comes with a lot of responsibilities. God bless stay-at-home moms.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of aspects,
Yeah,
being a
yeah,
working mother has its own set of challenges, but being a stay-at-home mom is also very much an unrewarded life choice that a lot of women make, and I have a lot of respect. A woman who knows how to cook, I was not blessed with that skill. I'm great at stocking up the kitchen and the pantry, but I just don't have this passion for cooking, right? And to a lot of men, that's really,
yeah,
really important. But these dynamics have changed. And as these dynamics have changed, the expectations, the way in which people are meeting each other, interacting with each other has changed. So it's made it more difficult because also women are more educated now. Women are staying in school longer. They are delaying, getting married and having children. And some women just don't want to have children. And sometimes couples get married and they choose that they just want to be them and not have the responsibility because, come on, let's be real. Life is expensive. Life has progressively, year
yeah.
on year, gotten more and more expensive. And in order for a family now, unless you've been blessed with generational wealth, unless you've been blessed with a business that makes you a lot of money, in order to be able to survive as a couple, whether you have children or you don't, both of you need to be working. Both of you need to be
Yeah.
contributing to that marriage.
Yep.
Both of you need to be contributing to the groceries and the utilities and whatever memberships and holidays and stuff like that. So it's changed. Life has changed.
It's it certainly has. Yeah, and I listen, just to go back to the dating apps, it never worked for me either. And part of it is because I don't know how to do the small talk. Like I don't know how to be like, what's your favorite color conversation? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I go deep. Like, let's talk about like I go deep. I have no filter. I was never like this. Like I remember, like I mean, I've tried dating apps in Dubai. I've tried it in the U.S. when I came back. And it just never worked. And I would put myself out there. And I think that's one advice I do have for women who are like trying to get back into the marketplace. I left Dubai and I was single for a while. I kind of forgot how to
Mm.
date, I'm not gonna lie, and I think this is where dating apps forced me to actually go on a date and put effort into dressing up and so on, and like actually put myself out there and be in my feminine energy and be with a man and all of that in the conversation. Every time it was like, I wish I didn't do this because every time it was just like really dry and boring. And it's like you're on an interview, which never worked for me, not my personality. And if I think about it, like I've met all my partners through some kind of social
Yeah.
interaction and stuff like that. But I do give it the credit of it is hard to meet people out there because things have changed. And I think get yourself out of that comfort zone because you do need to be in a specific mindset to start dating, to being open to dating. Because when I wasn't dating, for me at least, I was like, I think I was just like fuming of like
Mm.
anti-dating. I felt I was just giving off the like I don't date vibe, and it took me a while to get back into it because it does. You do get comfortable when you're
Mhm.
alone and when you're just kind of comfortable being alone, and I so that helped me in that sense. But otherwise dating apps never worked for me because it just never worked. And I did meet my partner now in the gym, and it did take which is why again I appreciate the community of like fitness, and I think it makes it easier in some capacity to meet people now because you have the Hyrox community, you have your run clubs, you have your martial arts community. So there are communities where you can meet people, but you have to be active in those
Yeah.
communities. And for Rashad and I, we were kind of in the same community for like 6-7 months. You know what I mean? So it took time to like, and timing also plays a role, I think, because it's like for the 6 months I didn't even see
Yeah.
him because I was just so anti-dating mode, right? So I think all these things play a role when it comes to dating, and it's yeah, and to your point, it is very different. I think expectations of men and women has shifted, and just in society, and it's just that's where we are.
Well, look, before when you're younger, you'll settle for other more things as well, right? You're willing to make compromises. And then when you've been single for a very long time and you're set in your own ways, it's harder to share your space and share your life and share your routine. As we get older, we also have our routines. Like for me, my workout routine is a non-negotiable. And then of course, I'm a single mom. So my time with
Yeah,
my daughter is also a non-negotiable. So that is an extra layer
yeah,
in which I have to, if I want to put myself out there and date, I am not just me. I'm responsible for a child as well. And I have to make sure that if I'm going to allow somebody into my life, that first of all, I'm not just bringing anybody in and saying, "Hey, you can't do that with kids. That's not healthy for them. What are you teaching them if like every month there's somebody new? It's like a freaking revolving door. It doesn't work like that, because you're also teaching them something. It's about value, right? So if I went for a very long time without feeling like I wasn't enough and maybe I didn't value myself, I have that wisdom of experience now where if I'm going to be wanting to intentionally have somebody in my life, a partner, hey, would I like to get married? Yes. But does it have to be under the right circumstances with the right person? Otherwise, I'm okay with having a life partner. But even then, that life partner and I need to be aligned. We need to have certain fundamentals, right? And that they need to match. And it has to do with, are we at the same level when it comes to what our intentions are for life and what we want our future to be? Are we at the same level like financially? And this is the financial part of it is a sticky part of it, I find. At least I can say in terms of
Mhm.
my experience. And as I told you this before, I'm not expecting somebody to be a billionaire or a multimillionaire or even a millionaire, okay? I work hard. I work really, really hard. So I would like to have somebody who is on my level, right? Let's say, God forbid, we're together and then for some reason I end up losing my job and I need to depend on my partner until I can get back on my feet again. That's okay, because you don't want to both be struggling, because then when you're struggling, that's when a lot of friction and a lot of tension and a lot of issues comes up. And also at the same time, I have created a certain life for myself, so I feel like if I've been able to achieve that on my own without the support of anybody else, I could just go to work, I hustle, I put in effort, I put in intention, I earn this wage, I bring it home and I take care of it. I would like somebody to meet me right there at my level. And I find that I don't know. I don't know if it's men doing it to women, women doing it to men, if it's been done to each other. But I feel like what I find a lot of my male friends complain about in the dating realm is that they keep on saying that dating with women has become very transactional. Right. And this is where you have these like
Mm.
conversations where, guys go out and they're like, well, is she going to split the bill with me? Or, at least she should offer. Right. Whereas, like, when I think about it, like, if I were to talk to my dad about this and be like, well, obviously, I would never talk to my dad about going on a date because that just would not end well.
It's not in your
No, it's
culture.
not my culture, but I'm saying, like, at the end of the day, growing up with a very traditional Persian father, you are raised in a sense that the man takes care of everything. Okay, yes, there is that stereotype where, like, Persian chicks are ruined by that's not right, but they're spoiled by their dads and they can, like, they'll get their bills paid until they're 50. And hey, listen, God bless. If your father wants to do that for you, it's between you and your papa. Okay, your baba wants to do that for you. Your baba wants to do that. He wants to make you a pretty princess. That's if he can afford it, he can do it. But what I'm trying to say is that at the end of the day, if your father, you go and sit and have a conversation with your father, and then if I were to tell my dad, yeah, he wanted me to split the bill with him, there's nothing not wrong, honestly. If you can only afford for us to go on a walk, no problem. If you can only afford to go for coffee, no problem, right? I'm not expecting a fancy no, do what works within your budget, right? So that then I have the space to come. And if I feel that, okay, if this is the budget that we're working with, I can partake. Or if this is not what I want, I can move on and vice versa. It's the same thing. I might show up
Yeah,
and I might be the type of lady, I like to show up in sneakers or I like to show up in I don't, I have a certain style. I have a certain swag. I like to be myself. I'm one of those
yeah,
women who you're not going to find wearing makeup most of the time, right? It's just not my thing. If I go out, if it's a fancy
yeah,
night out, okay, I'll wear some lipstick, I'll do a nice eyeliner, but makeup has never been like my thing. I like to show up with the canvas God bless me with. And thank you God, he's given me
mm,
good skin. But some guys really really want their woman to just always be dressed up like they're going to church on Sunday and always be in high heels and
yeah,
just look a certain way. And maybe I don't meet those standards that they have, right? So it comes with compromise and it also comes with what people's
yeah,
preferences are. And I think once you know your
yeah,
preferences, it's okay to get to a point in where you say, well, this is my boundary and I don't want to sound like I'm being shallow, but this is my standard and I don't want to change my standard because this is something I've worked hard to maintain for myself. For example, I
yeah,
could never be with someone who does not work out. I could never be with someone who does not give value to exercise and fitness in their life.
Yeah. I I totally agree. And as you're speaking, I think I'm having a reflection. So what I'm hearing you say, and I'm like, in my head, it comes down to, and this is, I guess this is why also really it works for me when I meet people, not via dating apps, but through some community where I've observed them, and I got to know who they are outside of our interaction. I just know who that person is, because what drives me insane about people in general, men and women, is that women get into relationships with men for their potential. And then they have all these expectations. And then what's happening is, like, like, let's say everything fits with a man, but maybe financially he's not quite there. And then you start to experience this frustration. It's like, no, 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 he didn't come into this relationship with all this money, but now you're expecting him to have all this money. You know what I'm saying? Especially at a certain age, I feel like if, let me back up. If you're dating somebody in your 20s and you're just both starting your careers, sure, there's potential for growth. I think at our age, when you're meeting somebody in their 30s and 40s and 50s, for example, the reality is they're probably wherever they are is like, you should just accept them as at that
Yeah.
level. What I'm saying is that, like, don't have this expectation they're going to be doing X, Y, and Z because you put this in your head, but that's not the reality. And for men, same thing. It drives me crazy when men would meet a woman, let's say at the gym, let's say in a casual setting, and she's not the heel
Yeah.
wearing type, but then you try to put her into this like trophy wife category, and then you putting this pressure on her to dress a certain way and be a certain way. That's not who she is. So you might like all these other things about her, which is why you engaged with her in a relationship to begin with. But then you start to like put this pressure, and it's like again, men want to, I think both sides try to mold somebody, and that's my biggest lesson, at least in my life, is like, don't try to mold somebody into being somebody you want them to be. Accept them for who they are from the get-go. You can always, I think everybody should continuously improve. I do believe in that. I think there should be growth. There should be all of those things. But I've been in a relationship where somebody was trying to mold me into something I'm not. And I'm like, that's not who I am. And then at the same time, I've been that person where I would get frustrated with in a relationship where I'm like, well, you're not doing X, Y, you're not making X, Y, and Z. And I'm over here hustling because that person was never meant for that. Like that, I'm trying to make them into something they're not. So I think like I think just meeting people where they are and seeing them for who they are, and being okay with where they are at that point is so important. And it comes down to your choosing. Like, you make a
Mm.
choice of, are you going to be okay there or not? Because if you know what I mean, because it's like, unhappiness is when your reality doesn't meet your expectations because your expectations did not align with who that person is.
That's
You
a
get
good
me?
word. Yeah, expectations are really, really important. And you have to learn how to manage your own expectations and the other person's expectations. And you're right. And look, I think that a lot of women fall into this trap of, and they set it for themselves, where they'll meet somebody and because they like someone so much, they change their entire identity. They almost morph into this person
Mm,
who that person wants them to be. Or maybe even if that person didn't ask them to be that, they just see that this is the type of woman or this is the type of girl that he likes, so I'm just going to become that. And they completely lose their identity or choose to put it on the side and morph into this woman that he wants. But then there's a reason maybe he
yeah,
liked you. Maybe he liked you for who you are, but then you changed and then the nature of the relationship changed at some point. There's this aha moment where she realizes that she steps so far away from who she is in essence, that she's no longer that parent a person, because she just basically let go of herself to be this person that would be attractive and lovable to that, right? So a lot of women get into that. I think
mm,
women tend to do that more than men, right? Men tend to come as they are.
yeah,
Maybe if they are to embellish something, maybe it would be their stature in terms of like how much money they have or how successful they are, or maybe their virility. But women are the ones who tend to kind of change themselves to be more attractive, or to be more viable for a man. So it's all about managing expectations. And the most important thing is manage your own expectations, right? Be comfortable within yourself. And to go back to
yeah,
what you were saying, yes, this is why slow and steady wins the race, right? If you ever rush into something, I rushed into getting married. I failed at that chapter in my life because I
same.
rushed. All of the freaking flags were there. They were dancing for me in front of me in every type of music and genre of music you wanted to. But I just made up my mind because I believed that I was going to get this lifestyle and that was what I wanted. And I lied to myself. It was
Mhm.
100% on me. I'm not going to put it on the other person. It was my mistake. There was
Yeah.
a short circuit in my motherboard and I just rolled with it, you know? But I was lucky enough that I had the opportunity and life circumstances worked themselves out where I could walk out of that with my dignity, you know? But when I think about it
Yeah.
now, there are certain things that I've accomplished over the last 10 years for myself, you know? And I've worked really, really hard. And if I am to want to get into a relationship with someone, if I go slow and steady and really learn the person, because if somebody really wants to be with you, they're going to make the time and effort to learn you, okay? To learn
Yeah. That's a good
they
way
will
to put it.
learn you. They will learn your language. They will learn your rhythm. They will learn what you love. They'll learn the things that make you tick, the things that bring a smile to your face. And it's the same thing with you. You know, initially when we meet someone, it's all of that chemistry. It's all that pheromones. Man, when you haven't dated a good looking man or when you haven't dated a man in a long time and you see that good looking dude or that good looking man and you know it is, it's primal. It's primal. And you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
what a man. You know, remember that Salt and Pepper song? What a man,
Yeah.
what a man, what a mighty good man. Yeah, and we all want mighty good men. But my understanding of a mighty good man and
Yeah.
your understanding of a mighty good man might be very, very different. And my what I want as a mighty good man right now is very different from what I would have wanted back in the day. So it's just important to manage your own expectations, learn the person, get to know the person. Don't just jump into something too quickly. Because when you jump into something too
Mhm.
quickly, you're not doing I know it's going to sound a little bit business-like, but you need to do risk analysis as well, right? You need to understand if I'm going to
Mhm.
let's say I'm in a long distance relationship and I'm going to move to that part of the world or he's going to move to this part of the world. What's the risk in that? And are we
Yeah.
going to be happy? Are we going to be able to make our lives align? Alignment in life is so important. And I think another thing that's really, really important when it comes to choosing the right partner and a healthy relationship is couples should not, pardon my French, be up each other's asses. Like you need to have your own identity. You were somebody before the person came
Yeah.
into your life. You are somebody when that person is in your life. And I understand that you create a life together, whether it's a marriage or whether it's a relationship, but you can't let go of that individuality. We women tend to often shed the people in our lives when a man comes into our life and he becomes our sole focus and our sole identity. And then if that relationship doesn't work,
Mm.
not only have we lost out on ourselves, that time, the partner, but we've also maybe lost some friendships along the way because we abandoned them for that relationship, right? So it's so, I feel like, you know, if
Yeah.
I were to sit and think about the audit of who I was in relationships in the past, whatever the nature of that relationship was, the one thing that's so important is that you have to still maintain your individuality uh, along with that partnership. So be who you are, be the partner to that person. You guys have a life together, but you still have your individual lives as well because it's so important to miss each other. When you're in a relationship, you have to
Yes.
keep on courting each other. That old fashioned courting, you know? And man, if I were to say anything, bring back chivalry. Bring back chivalry. Men, like just open the door for me, pull out a seat for me, you know, protect him. No matter how
Mhm.
strong we are as women, I still want I can change a light bulb. I can fix a leakage in my house. If a tire okay, I can't change the tire myself, but I know how to get it to the garage, choose the right garage and make sure that car is fixed and I don't get scammed in the process either. But at the same time, it's
Yeah.
nice to have somebody who will take care of you. You know, I've often like spoken to people. It's never gone to the dating route, but like it's like the vetting route. And you know, when I say I want somebody to take care of me, they automatically assume that I mean money. It's not. I can take care of myself. I take care
Mhm.
of myself
Mhm.
and my kid, and I pay a mortgage. You know, when I say
Yeah.
take care of me,
Yeah.
it means allow me to be a woman. Allow me to be a lady. Allow me to
Yes.
be, maybe let me be a princess, you know? In life, sometimes life hardens
Yeah.
you and you have to be so responsible that you forget to let go and fall back and let somebody else take care of you. And I think the essence of that sometimes gets lost. So if I were to say what I feel like is maybe broken in the world of dating now versus before, is that it's just people have so many options and people have such unrealistic expectations that when people do not meet those expectations that they have maybe sometimes set unrealistically, it's like, okay, on to the next one and on to the next one and on to the next one.
Mhm.
Wherein if you chose to maybe explore a little bit, look beneath the surface, both men and women, you might find an unpolished diamond.
Yeah. I love, I just keep thinking what you said, like to take time to learn somebody. I think like one of the, at least what I see the difference in my existing relationship and previous ones is again, it goes back to self, man. Like it goes back to understanding maybe again, I set different expectations for myself. Like I'm listen, I take full accountability. Was there two sides to the story? Sure. But let's just focus on like how I process my relationships and like I take full accountability for a lot of things.
As you get older and as you get wiser and as you've had enough heartbreaks in your life, you really, hopefully you would have learned from all of those. Hopefully all of that, all of the things that took you down, the lessons of those helped build you back up again, right? And then you know what you're going to compromise,
Yeah.
what you're going to sacrifice, and what are your non-negotiables. And that's completely okay, right? But you have to have those boundaries for yourself. And you also have to take the time to understand that there are certain things that you expect that this person's never going to meet, right? Those expectations. And that's not his fault. Those are your expectations, and it's unfair for you to put those on other people, right?
Yeah.
Maybe time and the way in which you give it translates differently for you than for your partner, right? Maybe you value the fact that somebody will wake up in the morning and send you a good morning message. All right. But maybe he might value that you give him the space to do whatever he needs to. And in the time that he has to be able to remember you, he will remember you, right? But all of that comes with spending the time to get to know each other, right? And again, goes back to time is very, very finite. On this side of the hill, we also don't have a lot of it, right? So sometimes you'll see people get to this side of the hill and also rush into things, and it's because, oh, they've been waiting, nothing has happened. And then they're like, oh, here's this person, I'm just going to go all in, you know? But I think it's just a matter of however you do it. I think there's no secret sauce other than the fact that understand. Be very understanding. Be ready to communicate. When you get to this point and you've gone through some stuff in life, you need to understand that people will come with their own traumas and people will come with their own stuff that they've had to deal with. So they might still be working that out, but at the same time, they want to share life with you. So patience is really, really important. And I think
Yeah.
communication. Communicate with the person so that they understand what it is that you want from them and they tell you what they want from you. And then if you see that you can align your life, every day you just move one step closer to wherever it is that you want to get. But relationships in essence are just a lot of work. It doesn't, it's love is different. At every stage in life, love is different. If there's one thing I've learned, which is so, so important,
Yeah.
it's important who loves you in your dark times, when you're not feeling well, when you're having a low moment or something is going wrong in life. Because when everything is hunky dory and happy go lucky, it's easy. When everything is easy, it's easy to be in love, right?
Yeah.
It's the hardships that really show you that is this relationship going to stand the test of time? And a lot of times those hardships sometimes comes with financial, right? That's why having those conversations at the
Mhm.
beginning of any relationship or at the beginning of any scenario, understand, can we afford to be together? And if we can, what are the boundaries
Yeah.
that we have when it comes to that? And if you're okay with sharing that, great. Or if the man says, you know what, I'm the man, I'm going to take care of this and I'm going to do all of this, but don't let me have any headaches about anything related to the household. You manage that. Even if it means me giving you all of the financial resources to manage that, you manage that, you know? I don't want that headache, but in return, I will take care of
Mm.
you, you know? So it just all comes in communication.
Mm.
Really, I think it's the fundamental
Yeah.
It's the single most fundamental thing in any kind of relationship that you have in life, whether it's a friendship or whether it's a partnership or whether it's marriage. You have to learn how to communicate with each other.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think it just again like going back to it just takes time because just speaking, I'm thinking like what's really important to me, and I think maybe a lot of people can relate is I want to see how that person is, like you said, like in specific situations. So I want to see how that person is. Let's go to the basics of like before you even live together, like how does that person when they're traveling? How are they when the flight is delayed, when there's massive stress? Because for me, I don't like the toxic drama situations. I can't be with somebody who gets easily stressed out because a flight is delayed or something inconvenient happens. Like, you know what I mean? To me, it's such a pet peeve of mine. I know it sounds so silly, but it's such a pet peeve of mine because that tells me that your resilience level is so low or you're so stressed out for no reason. That to me is a complete turn off. The other thing is like, how
Yeah.
are they if they lose their job? That's a big thing, right? Because if you can't handle like a light stress situation,
Yeah.
life happening, because life happens. Do you know what I'm saying? So like that is so important to me for me to see you in these different stressors and how do you react? Because if you can't handle a small stressor, what's going to happen if God forbid something happens to me? If God forbid something catastrophic happens in our lives and our family, are you going to fall apart and just bounce? Do you know what I'm saying? Because we see this quite a bit in different parts, and again, I'm empathetic and, context matters and all that. But what's important to me, I need to see in certain situations because I am a pretty strong individual and I can handle a lot of things. But I also need to make sure my partner is right there next to me, is able to handle that because I'm
Yeah.
going to need that support. I also want somebody who, to your point, goes to the gym and who takes care of their health. It's not about even the looks. That's an icing on the cake. It's more about your health. And we cannot predict where the life will go, but I want to be with somebody who does the best that they can to maintain their health and strength and bone density
Your
throughout
bone
their,
density,
like do
the
it.
DEXA
What is
scan.
it, DEXA scan? All jokes aside, like I want somebody who is doing the best that they can to maintain their health and energy.
What basically it goes back to is that when you meet somebody, you got to take the time to see what their patterns are, what their routine is, what their lifestyle is. And then you also have to make sure that you expose them to how your life is. You introduce them to people in your family. You see the interactions, right? We both come from cultural backgrounds where our families play a big
Yeah.
role. Whoever you let into your life not only has to fit into your life within boundaries, they also have to be able to fit into your family's life, you know? So that balance is really important. And also, you guys have to have things in common, right? There has to be commonalities in the way in which you
Yeah.
think, your ideologies in life about whatever it is, the way you eat, health, religion, politics, spending habits, the type of traveler you are. Some people like to be really casual travelers, some people like to be very organized. I'm the type of person, as soon as they call for you to board, I like to be on the plane because I want to sit down and I want to have bags on top of my head, right? I'm not one of those people who, oh, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna wait and where I don't care. No, I'm not like that. And I know that's very annoying. I know to a lot of my friends, I am that annoying, organized person. I need to have a place for everything and everything in its place. When it comes to organization is very, very important to me. So the thing is that it only comes with time
Mm-hmm.
and it only comes with communication and it only comes when
Yeah.
you're honest enough to have those conversations, right? When you're younger and at a different stage in life, like I said, you're still willing to compromise. But when you've done this already once, when you have been married and gotten divorced and then you're giving love and life a second chance, you should have the wisdom of experience and you should have the wisdom of all of the things you messed up in to know that okay, this did not serve the purpose that I needed to in my life and it took up a lot of space and I had to do a lot of healing and understanding and learning from that. So now in this next chapter, I know everything that I will and will not settle for, and the other person has to have the same space, right? At the end of the day, you just need to be a good human being. You have to be decent. You have to be hardworking. Money
Yeah.
is not everything. Money is not everything, right? When we say that you want the person to be financially stable, it's not to walk into Chanel and walk into Hermes and buy me a Birkin or to buy me a Chanel. No, that's not it. When I say that the person is smart with their money, when the person knows how to manage their money, or the person is financially responsible, it means that if those tough times do come where one of you is unemployed, if those tough times do come, God forbid, where one of you is ill and needs to be taken care of, you have that space to be able to do that for each other, right? Those are the times to really find out who your
Yeah.
partner is in tough times, in hard times, and to be able to find somebody who has the maturity who wants to do that for you, right? And also to be able to find someone who's not going to
Yeah.
just settle, who's not going to put you to the side when you reached a certain stage in your life where you're not as young anymore, you're not as pretty anymore. Gravity has taken its toll, and when you take your bra off, they're down to your knees. Let's hope not, but hey, you never know. But it's just it's accepting you for who you are, what you are, the essence of what it is that makes
Yeah.
you who you. Everybody's unique. Everybody has something unique about them, right? Or a lot of unique things. And I think that, again, back to what we
Yeah.
were talking about, the
Mhm.
problem with the dating scene nowadays is that people just are so used to surface level things that they don't want to go and do the depth that is required. Because just when something is a little bit
Yeah.
uncomfortable, they'll just be like, no, I don't want it. It's too much effort. Yalla, on to the next
On
one,
to the next
and
thing. Yeah.
unfortunately, this is the new world order.
Yeah. Yeah. So good luck to Gen Zs. All right. Just kidding. I feel some of them even have it better together than us, even the millennials and the Gen Xs. But yeah, no, listen, time is different. And, if anything, just get to know yourself, man, and know what you want, what you don't want, what you're willing to accept and not
Yeah, I
accept. That
think
just comes
before you
down to
pour
it,
into anybody else's cup, make sure that your cup is clean. Your cup even was broken and the been filled, and that pour into it and overflow it with yourself so that when somebody else is going to come, that you're not going to need them to water you, right? That you guys are at a place where you're healthy and that you can build on that healthy foundation.